Are you sick of saying yes all the time and being worn out? Do you find it hard to set limits without feeling bad about it? The famous samurai Miyamoto Musashi learned how to be decisive in life as well as in fight. This video will teach you how to say no with strength, clarity, and discipline. Watch this video if you want to take back your time, energy, and respect. Lesson 1. Be direct and clear. Being able to talk to people openly and without fear is one of the best skills anyone can learn. Miyamoto Musashi thought that not knowing what to do was the enemy of success. He wrote a book called The Book of Five Rings that talks about how important it is to be determined. This is true in every part of life, not just battle, even in how we treat other people. To say no, be clear. Do not use vague reasons or long answers that make you want to be persuaded even more. It's more likely that people will push back against your refusal if you look unsure or hesitant. People respect people who are sure of what they're doing. Think about this. In fight, a warrior can't think twice about his move. He has to give it his all because he knows that waiting could cost him the game. People will ask you to do things that aren't important to you, but you have to be just as resolute when they do. Say, "No, I won't be able to do that," if someone asks you to do something you can or don't want to do. Not necessary to give too many reasons or apologies. That doesn't mean you have to be rude. Respect and firmness can live together. A simple "thank you for the offer, but I can't" is all that's needed. Take care of your own time and goals, just like Musashi did when he followed his path as a warrior. Not being selfish when you say no is an act of self-control and truth. If it's hard for you to say no directly, try practicing in small settings. More time goes by, things will get better, and people will start to value your time and boundaries. Truthfulness won't bother people who really care about you. Musashi's ideas teach us that a warrior's strength doesn't just come from physical strength, but also from having a strong mind. It is a thought that is truly free when it can say no without fear. Lesson 2. Use the compliment plus no technique. Miyamoto Musashi knew that planning was just as important as force when it came to power. A warrior doesn't just win fights by being stronger. He also wins by being smarter, more patient, and better at controlling his body. This is also true for talking to people, especially when you need to say no. Many people find it hard to say no to requests because they don't want to let others down or hurt relationships. But telling someone no doesn't have to be rude or condescending. You can instead soften your refusal with the compliment plus no technique, which lets you keep the peace while clearly setting limits. Say no in a polite but firm way after showing thanks or a compliment. This method is easy to follow. This makes sure that the person feels heard, even if their request is turned down. Just like, you don't have to say no, I don't want to go if a friend asks you to an event you don't want to go to. You can say instead, that event sounds really fun. Thanks for the call, but I'm afraid I won't be able to make it this time. By recognizing the effort or thought that went into the request, you avoid strife or hurt feelings that aren't necessary. In professional situations, where you need to keep good relationships while also managing your time, this method works especially well. If a coworker asks you to do more work when you already have a lot on your plate, you don't have to say, "No, I'm too busy." Instead, you can say, "Thank you so much for thinking of me for this. I have other things to do right now, so I won't be able to do this, but I hope it goes well." This way fits with what Musashi said about control and strategy. He stressed that fights are not just fought with weapons, but also with the mind. A smart fighter doesn't carelessly burn bridges. He moves carefully, making sure that what he does helps him reach his long-term goals. The compliment plus no technique lets you say no without getting into a fight. It helps you keep respect, protect your time, and stick to your goals. People will accept your boundaries and still value your presence in their lives if you know how to use them right. If you learn this skill, you'll be able to take charge of your life without giving up on important connections. Lesson 3. Delay your response. Miyamoto Musashi thought that being patient and observing things could help you. Before going into a fight, he would often watch how his opponent moved to find the best time to attack. He knew that hasty actions could lead to mistakes, and that being patient helped him take charge of the situation instead of letting it take over him. In the same way, this is how you should say no. There are a lot of reasons why people say yes too quickly, like worry, pressure, or habit, and then they feel bad about it later. You shouldn't agree to something right away if you're not sure about it. Instead, wait to respond. Giving yourself time to think clearly instead of responding emotionally is what this does. Say, let me think about it and get back to you. When someone asks for your time, money, or energy, don't feel like you have to answer right away. This simple phrase gives you time to think about whether the request fits with your values and goals. You take away the stress of having to answer right away, which lets you make a choice instead of reacting out of habit. Musashi said that a fighter should never act without thinking first. He should always think about his situation, his opponent, and what will happen if he does something. In life, every promise you make is a choice that needs time and effort. When you say yes to everything, you don't have time for the things that really count. You test how important the request is by taking too long to respond. When people know they have to wait for your answer, they usually either figure out how to solve the problem on their own or find another way to do it. You might even discover that the ask wasn't really that important to begin with. Saying no means making your own choices and not letting other people make them for you. You show that you value your time and do things on purpose when you take a while to respond. Musashi never jumped into a fight without a plan, and you should never make a promise without giving it some thought first. Lesson 4. Offer an alternative if needed. Musashi Miyamoto was not only a warrior, but also a smart man. He knew that to really be in charge of your life, you don't have to reject everything that doesn't fit with your plans. Instead, you have to focus your energy on things that will help you reach your goals and values. There are times when you need to flatly say no, but other times, giving them an option can work just as well. This way, you can keep the relationship going while still saving your time. Picture a samurai fighting someone. It's not always best to go for a straight clash. It's sometimes better to deflect an attack than to block it straight on. In the same way, you don't have to say no straight out when someone asks you to do something. You can change the subject in a way that makes everyone happy. You could say something like, I won't be able to do it this week, but I know someone else who might be available. If a friend asks you for help on a project and you're too busy to say, I can't help, this lets you keep people's respect while still putting your own obligations first. This method works especially well in business settings. Let's say a coworker asks you to do extra work that you don't have time for. Rather than saying no, you could say, I'm busy right now, but I'd be happy to look it over later if that's okay. You can show teamwork without giving up your rights this way. Musashi thought that a fighter should be able to change. He said that being rigid leads to loss and being flexible leads to victory. Giving them an option is a way to say no without starting a fight that isn't required. This skill will help you keep your time safe while still taking care of your interactions. Remember that saying no means taking charge of your life. When done strategically, it makes your situation stronger, not weaker. Lesson 5. Use body language and tone. It was clear to Miyamoto Musashi that real strength is not just what you say, but also how you act. A warrior doesn't just talk. His body language, tone of voice, and energy make people admire him. In battle, your enemy can tell when you are thinking about drawing your sword before you even do. The same rule holds when you say no. When you say no, but your body language shows that you're not sure, people will question your choice. If you want to say no, your body language needs to match. Keep your back straight, look people in the eye, and stand tall. If you slouch, fidget, or avoid eye contact, you look unsure, and people like people who are uncertain are willing to negotiate. People will try to get you to change your mind if they can tell you aren't sure. When you stand strong, though, your denial has weight. Musashi stressed how important it was to have calm and collected energy. During his duels, he didn't show too much feeling. He was calm, steady, and in charge. When setting limits, it's the same thing. People will think you don't really mean no if you say it with nervous laughing or an apology tone. Instead, keep your tone steady. Stay neutral. Don't be too harsh or too soft. No, I can't do that, said in a calm and firm voice, is much stronger than a long, uncertain reason. Pausing is another important part. When you say no, don't feel like you need to explain too much or fill the quiet. You can use quiet as a weapon. Musashi knew that. Sometimes, not speaking is stronger than speaking. Tell them no and let it go. If they keep pressing, repeat your answer without changing it. You can give off a strong and sure vibe by controlling your tone and body language. Musashi's way was based on being present and in charge. If you have these traits, people will follow your decisions without question. Lesson 6. Practice saying no. According to Miyamoto Musashi, success comes from practicing over and over again. Getting better at swordsmanship didn't happen overnight. He trained hard, practiced a lot, and kept his mind on the task at hand. It works the same way when you say no. If you have trouble with it, the answer is easy: practice. Many people don't say no because they're afraid of being turned down, getting into a fight, or failing other people. But avoiding it will make you less confident and cause other people to control your time and energy. Musashi taught that a warrior doesn't hesitate or waver. He goes straight forward and with confidence. More times you say no, it gets easier. Start out small. If someone asks you to an event you don't want to go to, politely say no without going into too much detail. If a coworker asks you to do more work when you already have a lot on your plate, practice saying no in a polite but strong way. The goal is to always stand your ground without feeling bad about it. Role-playing your answers is a very useful method. You might find it hard to say no in certain situations, so practice saying it. Be sure of yourself when you speak, look people in the eye, and keep your body language strong. Over time, this will teach your mind how to act easily and confidently in real life. Musashi also taught that you are strong when you look inside yourself. You must have faith in the worth of your time and goals. People will value the choices you make more if you respect yourself. Always keep in mind that saying no is not a sign of rudeness or selfishness. It's a way to protect your energy, focus on what's important, and live your life with purpose. You say yes to your own growth, peace, and success every time you say no to something that doesn't help you reach your goals. If you keep training, you'll soon be able to say no with the strength of a warrior.